Jake, we got a phone issue. Jake? Live from the AOC Studios, deep in the heart of downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. It is fun. It's excitement. Ooh, Lord, the audio levels look jacked up tonight. Is that supposed to be normal, Yardley?
What is it? What's the problem?
If you look right here, is it supposed to be this high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to get to
Making
this,
sure. No, I just wanted to make sure because for a little bit it was in the red. It's saying, "Ooh, your behind is in the shot."
What? Checking for new firmware.
No, that's the thing.
It's just taking a while.
Is it?
Okay.
Is it just because we're amateurs on camera? There we go. Okay, it works. Oh man, I thought moving to Tuesday nights would be easier than what they have been. It's now, granted, it is only the second week, and granted, we are getting used to directing a show and putting a show on the fly. But we are here tonight. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into 124 East Main. I am Ian Ozan. We are back here in the director's booth tonight. As you can tell, our cast of characters did not show up this evening. Apparently, I wasn't the only one that forgot we're not on Saturday nights anymore. I called everybody this afternoon. Oh, today's Tuesday? There's a show on Tuesday now? So, we are here tonight. It's just me and you and a dog named Boo, and we are happy that you are here with us this evening. Tonight we're going to do... tonight is going to be more low-key than what we did last week. Last week with... the Hangover Special, obviously it is, the Hangover Special is very unformatted, is very, ooh, Lord, the graphic is in our shot, or is that my head? We'll just live with it. Oh well, it is what it is. But last week was very unstructured. Last week it really was what you got. And this week, we're going to go back. We're going to do a little bit more structure. This is Volume 8, Episode 4 of 124 East Main. Tonight, we're going to do a lot of current events. We're going to talk a little bit about Harper Lee's, I shouldn't call it a new novel, considering it's almost 60 years old. It's been sitting in a vault for all that time. Finally was published and released today. Go Set a Watchman. We'll talk about that and get into a little bit of, I don't want to call it a literary analysis. I haven't read the book yet, but talk about the book in light of some of the current events that are happening today. We'll discuss, and we'll go across the board. We'll talk Donald Trump a little bit. We may even play Trump or Monkey, if you can guess whether or not the toupee is Trump or the top of a monkey. And we'll go across the board and do a lot of things. Oh, they forgot to finalize the disc? Yeah. That's lovely. Before we go any farther, though, and Yardley, this is a first for us here on 124 Remain, is that we have an underwriter now.
What?
We've been on the air for 8 years, and now we have an underwriter. Tonight's program, underwritten by Coach Brian Broussard and Fit Life, located at 5H Plaza on Coliseum Road, not too far from Rue Louis XIV. Proud to say they are now an underwriter, and it took us forever to find someone willing to put their name on this show. That's the best part about it. It took forever to get someone to put their name on this show. Brian is, I will, for full disclosure, Brian is my cousin. I've been working with him and trying to get myself back in shape over the course of the last few weeks. And I told him today, look, you're now an underwriter of the show. He said, absolutely. And Brian will be coming on the show in the very near future to discuss, to talk about a little bit what he does and talk about getting into the fit life. Let's go ahead and go to the phone lines. Good evening, Chris. How are you, sir?
Fine.
Good. How's everything on your end?
Fine.
Enjoy the weather today?
Yeah.
So what's, are you watching the All-Star game right now?
Yeah.
Who's winning right now? You don't know? Are they in a commercial?
Yeah.
Anything interesting happened so far?
No.
Have you had a chance to take a look at the new book yet? Harper Lee's new book, Go Set a Watchman?
No.
I hear it's a good book. And again, we'll be talking about it a little bit later on tonight. I just got my copy about an hour and a half ago. Not had a chance to read it yet, but again, based on the reviews and based on the little excerpts that I've had a chance to read over the course of the last week, it certainly looks like it's, I don't want to call it eye-opening, but it's for those who held Atticus Finch in high esteem, in this limelight. A lot of opinions about him may change, so we'll have to wait and see what the book, what exactly is included in this novel. Some 330 pages, if I remember right. It's about the same length as To Kill a Mockingbird, so we'll, and for those of us who haven't read Mockingbird in forever, gonna have to brush up on that before we even jump into Watchmen, but certainly should be an interesting read. Are you a hockey fan at all?
No.
Okay, for those of you who are hockey fans who are watching, matter of fact, ran into Ice Gators head coach Drew Macholi earlier this evening. He'll be on the show in the next month or so. Can't say anything yet, but for those of you who are Ice Gator fans, the season is shaping up to be a very interesting one with a lot of great players who are going to be coming in and a lot of great players who will be coming back. Stay tuned for that. Again, cannot divulge anything just yet, but stay tuned. The next week or so, we'll be able to divulge some of that information. Football season, basketball season coming up in the next few months or so. Football will be starting up in the next 2 months. Basketball will be starting up the next 3 to 4 months. I know we're in the off season right now. Baseball's in. Have you watched any of the Canadian Football League at all?
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed the games?
Yeah.
There were a couple great games that were played over the course of last week, and Winnipeg Blue Bombers just absolutely blew out. Who did they play the other night? Was it the Montreal, Les Alouettes de Montreal? I don't remember. I believe it was them. But speaking of the Canadian Football League, a lot of people are quick to discount it. But there is local talent playing in the CFL. Kyrie Zaber, native of Eunice, is playing for, where is he this year? He's in Saskatchewan this year, I think. Kyrie Zaber is still in the league. Fred Stamps, former UL wide receiver, is playing for the Alouettes. And there are other players whose names you may recognize who are playing in the CFL. If you've not had a chance to check them out yet, viewers, go ahead. It's on ESPN2 every Thursday and Friday night. And the best part about the CFL, there are only 8 teams. So if you watch ESPN's coverage of the Canadian Football League, you're catching everything. It's not as expansive as the NFL where you're following 32 teams. 8 teams, it's simple to follow. Granted, there are several rule differences, very significant rule differences, but it's a great sport, great league to follow, great entertainment as well, especially for those of you who are waiting for college and NFL season to get here. Chris, I got to run. I got another call coming in. I appreciate you checking in. Take care. Bye-bye. And that is how we start off 124 East Main this evening. If you want to get in this evening, I can't even see my monitor here. The phone number is right here. It was right here. There we go. 366-8951. That is the phone number for you to get in. Phone lines are open. We did have someone on the line. Not sure what happened to them, but operator is standing by, and you can go ahead and give us a call right now, and we'll go ahead and get you in on the air. Now, some of you may be wondering. You may have noticed the ace bandage. And wondering what in the world did Ian do to himself. I've been saying it's a softball injury since it happened. For those of you who've been on Facebook, you may have seen the real explanation, but I'm embarrassed to say what it is and what exactly happened. And quite frankly, it's rise over a little bit. It's this one. Let's see. Eject. Open. There we go. Now I can see myself on the screen again, and that's not poking out into the camera shot. But for those of you who are wondering what in the world happened, let's see. Before we do anything, Artemio is checking in via text message, looking for the phone number. So we may hear from Artemio this evening. Again, he's asking for the phone number to call in. So our good friend Artemio Enriquez and former co-host may be joining us in a few moments. Again, 866. We're not toll free. 366-8951 is the phone number for those of you who do want to get in. For those of you who do want to tweet us, and we do have the Twitters up this evening. If we can find, we have the email address there. For those of you who do want to email us too, you can, 124emain@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at 124emain. The Twitter is up right now. It is on the cell phone. So if you do want to tweet us, you can get in that way as well. We'll be paying attention to the 124 East Main Twitter. If you tweet me at IOZAN, there's no guarantee that I will catch it this evening. But again, we are talking current events this evening. Open phone lines for those of you who do want to get in. It's pretty much anything and everything that you want to discuss tonight. Come on, folks. We know you're out there. Go ahead and call in. I'm a bit disappointed today. Before we get to that, back to this. What exactly happened with this? I came out of retirement this weekend to officiate beer league softball. I think it's the first tournament I've done in about a year or so. I think the last tournament I did was last year's Cajun Classic. Between all those getting hit by lightning and blowing out my wrist, it was a great weekend. But apparently I sprained my wrist while calling someone out at first base. How in the world that's possible, I have no idea. I don't know how in the world anybody can put enough force behind an out call that the wrist just blows up. I would like to think that maybe, just maybe, a stray bolt of lightning hit me, but I know if that were the case, I wouldn't have walked off the field. But whatever the case is, and what I think happened, while ringing up a guy at first base on the bang-bang play and punching with my right hand, either I twisted it or mangled it or did something. I heard a pop. I thought I popped my knuckle. By the end of the night, the hand had swollen up so much that I couldn't clench a fist. So, go to the doctor the next day. He tries not to laugh at me as I tell him what happened. And here we are. An ace bandage, ice, and naproxen later. This thing should be coming off tomorrow, thankfully. This is one of those moments where I wish I'd had the Enrico Palazzo clip, or at least I had permission to roll the Enrico Palazzo clip from The Naked Gun. I know umpires get flack, and I know that officiating is a misunderstood job across all sports. But no, contrary to popular belief, umpires do not go the Enrico Palazzo route. We do not twirl. We do not do the moonwalk after a third call strike. Despite what you may have seen in other YouTube videos from various kiddie leagues and or semi-pro leagues from Mexico. Though with that said, maybe, just maybe, we should start doing the moonwalk and split after a strike call. Maybe it would lighten up the game a little bit. Wouldn't that be great if you saw Jerry Davis or Joe West or another Major League Baseball umpire do a strike three call and then break out into the hustle? Or start doing the mashed potato or some other dance? Maybe Major League Baseball could have some fun with that during All-Star Weekend or during the All-Star Game. Oh wait, that's tonight. Too late for that. For those of you who are watching the game, if there are any updates, please let me know. Apparently voting is now open for the All-Star Game MVP at MLB.com and on Twitter. I'm not exactly sure why fans are getting to vote for the All-Star Game MVP. After all, the All-Star Game at this point is just a dog and pony show. Guys come in, they play an inning or two, they're pulled out, they go home, they get a day off the day after, and then it's back to business. I wish the All-Star Game featured the true All-Stars and let them play 5, 6, 7 innings. Let the All-Star Game be a real game. Remember when Pete Rose ran over Ray Fosse back in 1970? That was an All-Star Game highlight. You're not going to see that anymore because the starters don't play the entire game anymore. The starters are there for an inning or two and then boom, they're gone. That is if they decide not to weasel out of the game. Granted, there's some guys who do have injuries, some people who do wind up having legitimate reasons for getting out of the All-Star game, but for a lot of people, it's just a waste of time. They would rather have their All-Star weekend off and have a true break. Can't say that I blame them either. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a legitimate All-Star game where the All-Stars played as if it were a full game, where the managers managed as if it were a real game? This BS about having the All-Star game determine home field advantage for the World Series does nothing for me as a fan. Does not generate more interest, does not give me any more reason to watch the All-Star game. I watch the All-Star game because I want to see great baseball. I want to see the best of the best duke it out. I don't want to see an outfielder have to come in and pitch in the bottom of the ninth inning because the manager didn't or was unwise in his handling of his roster. And the sad part is that's what the Major League Baseball All-Star Game has become. Clint says, I look like Cowboy Bob Orton with the cast. Now, Clint, the only difference is, and as soon as I say that, what was that just fell? Wasn't the clasp on this, but unlike Cowboy Bob Orton, this ace bandage will be coming off. And no, it is not loaded. The wrist will not take 15 years to heal. And we will not use it to our advantage in any matches. Though with that said, this could be that is a great Halloween costume idea. Find a cowboy hat, a leather vest, we got the blue jeans already, some cowboy boots, and go with the bandaged right arm. We can be Cowboy Bob Orton. That is brilliant. That is brilliant planning right there, Clint. Great idea. I wish I'd have thought of that myself. I'm sure Cowboy Bob Orton, somewhere wherever he is right now, is still nursing that arm back to health some 30 plus years later. Nice to know that Clint is watching the show this evening. Nice to know that some of you are out there this evening. 366-8951. That is the phone number for those of you who do want to get in this evening. As I understand it, we have a watch party right now over at 1103 Eras Landry Road. I want to thank James and Marcy and Alex and all the other folks over there for watching. We appreciate you tuning in. Where were we before we got distracted with the Cowboy Bob Orton reference? Of course, we are on Twitter, at iozan, at 124emain. We're checking both feeds this evening, so you can go ahead and get in this evening. Speaking of officiating, since we touched on that briefly, it looks like there will be a high school football season. It looks like there will be a high school volleyball season. Or better said, it looks like that we will have officials for high school football and volleyball season. Looks like we won't miss any games, we won't miss any work. Because the LHSAA, the principals in the LHSOA, the Officials Association, came to an agreement on Sunday, the details of which have not yet been announced. That will come either tomorrow or Thursday, because those details are still being finalized as we speak. But an agreement has been reached, and cooler heads prevailed. Amazingly, cooler heads prevailed in this situation. I know there were a lot of people who were worried, I was one of them, about how the impasse between the officials and the principals would affect the upcoming season. Because at the end of the day, it's not just the teams and the officials that would be affected by it. They're a whole subsection of people that would be affected that depend on volleyball and football as a part of their livelihood. And I'm not talking about the officials and the coaches and the folks involved in the school. We got that. But if you think about it, those who work in TV and radio broadcasting, those who do football games on the radio on Thursdays and Friday nights, the TV stations, I think Cox Sports and Fox Sports New Orleans cover high school volleyball on a regular basis here in Louisiana. They would have lost broadcasts and lost advertising dollars. Broadcasters would have been hurt by this as well. The students and the athletes would have been hurt because I guarantee you there had been someone somewhere in there who has a college scholarship riding on this season who would have been affected if games would have been lost. I'll get back to that point in a second. Good evening, Happy Jack.
How you doing, man?
I am doing well, sir. How's married life treating you?
Well, it's there, bro. It's there. Things got good days and bad days like everything else.
Yeah. And we were talking about football and the officials. I know you as a coach are relieved that this is over.
Well, it is, and what I want to explain to you and to the listening audience briefly about what has transpired. Yes, the principals this past January in Baton Rouge voted down the raise. Not every principal voted for it. Okay.
Right. It's not every principal. When we say the principals, we're speaking generally because, after all, they are the ones who vote. It wasn't a unanimous vote, not by a long shot. It was, 55-45, 60-40? Somewhere in there.
Yeah, something along the lines, but this was the point that they were trying to make. What you need to realize is that not every football program is successful in this state.
Right.
All right? A lot of schools who have pretty much all the sports usually rely on one sport. For example, if a school is not known for football, then they're known for some other sport.
Right, either baseball or basketball or something like that.
Their money, whereas football is not real popular, and the school has to generate those monies to pay the officials.
Right.
Okay? I'll give you a good example, partner. To pay a crew of 5 officials is roughly $600. Now, what if the school does not have that money, especially when you rely on the gate?
Right.
And you don't have that many fans that come to the game. Well, you got to rely on your concessions as well, but one way or the other, you are responsible for paying these officials if you are hosting the game.
Right.
Okay? So, right now, a lot of these schools were just not in the financial position to approve the raise. As much as they wanted to, it was going to cost another arm in the league. And, I'll give you a good example. Where I'm at Jeanneret, we have some issues with athletics, okay? We do not have many athletes. And there are obvious reasons why, and I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we have to rely on fundraisers to pay these officials. And we have to really rely on the visiting team to bring some fans from the school that we're playing. Okay? I mean, the last thing you want to do as a school, and I hate to say this, but it's to bounce a check. How embarrassing is that?
Yeah. Well, part of it, and I don't know if Iberia's done this, but I know that in some cases, some parishes are now sending the checks from the school board offices, where they're mailing the checks out after the fact to make sure that they have the money. But the thing is, with the football, I understand where that's going with fundraisers, but there are other sports where softball, and I'm getting off the officiating here, but with some softball programs, some volleyball programs, the schools are just being uptight and not giving any money to those programs. And those are the ones where I can understand where if a pay raise were to come in would affect them. Volleyball is not drawing money at the gate. They're not drawing much from the concession either. They're not getting much support from the school as it is, or from the school board, because those are programs that are there because they have to be there for Title IX in some cases. My thought as an official, though.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. My thought as an official, though, is it's been 25 years, or in the last 25 years, rather, only 2 pay raises have been given. It's one thing to vote down a pay raise, and I get that. There are reasons for that. I understand some schools are hard-strapped. What irks me, though, is the baseball, softball rainout fee getting taken away. You've got officials who leave their jobs, people who are 9 to 5ers or 7 to 4, who have to leave their jobs early to get to a game site 30 to 45 minutes ahead of time. They have to go to their meetings on Sundays, in some cases driving 50 miles one way to get where they're going. Not paid for that. You have officials who are paying dues, paying for uniforms, and are essentially funding their own side careers, and in some cases not making their money back. That's a risk we take, I get that. But, and again, I can understand not raising the pay. With the points that you raise, I get that. High school sports aren't as lucrative as some people think. But when you take away money from people who are taking time out of their day to go service schools and service these athletes, that's a slap in the face. Again, it's one thing if the pay stays the same.
I respect that 110%, Ian. I respect that with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But, the biggest problem is, again, the availability of these funds by the schools, as well as the support from the community for their schools.
Right.
Okay? And another thing that people need to realize, and I'm not trying to start a war over here, okay? But it is a choice that you make to become an official.
Right.
That is strictly, and I hate to say it like this, but to some people it's a hobby, and it's a way of getting a few extra dollars, and that's a good way to get a few extra dollars.
And those are the officials that, unfortunately, are the ones that, and you know that they exist as well as I do. Those are the ones that are there for the check and really shouldn't be there.
That's the deal. And look, I'm going to say this much, okay? Being the athletic director.
You're an AD now?
Sir?
You're an AD now?
Oh, yeah. I've been the athletic director at Generate High for 4 years now.
I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I like it. They treat me fine over there.
Hey, if you're 4 years, you're still there. You're doing something right.
Oh, yeah. Well, I plan on staying over there until I screw up, so.
Well, you're not doing a show on AOC anymore, so they don't have that to hold against you.
That's right. But look, let me just throw this at you. If you have a passion for what you're doing, money is not going to be the issue.
Right.
But if you're doing it just for a paycheck, you better go find something else to do.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Because as I mentioned earlier, paying for uniforms, paying for equipment, in some cases, depending on what association you're in, depending on how many officials there are, you may not make your money back. I learned that the hard way my first year doing softball.
Of course not. And look at us at Generate. Our football uniforms, them things are over 15 years old, buddy.
Wow.
Those things are expensive. Okay? Now, if we had a successful program and we didn't have the competition that they have out there, and I will say this much, no offense against the private schools, but they do take our athletes. Okay? Now, if the private schools were not in our area and we would have those kids playing, you know what kind of difference that would make?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have to worry about finding the money to pay for the officials because it's all about winning.
Right.
If you don't win, you're not going to have the fan base.
Right.
You're not. And I don't care what people say about it. And I know it's a pride issue, but in the words of Al Davis, and you have to agree with this, just win, baby.
And that's the thing. And the sad part is, and you know this as well as I do, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves about the sports fans in Louisiana, not just in Acadiana, but in Louisiana, is that people are quick to jump on a bandwagon, but the minute that you lose, they'll jump off quickly. And it's the same thing, and it's not just with the Saints or the Pelicans. You look at UL. UL can't put 30,000 people in Cajun Field for a regular season home game. But yet they get to the New Orleans Bowl. I'll be damned they're not 55,000 people in the Superdome. Same thing with high school sports. Some schools will fill up their stadium every single weekend, but there are others that people don't expect much. Not many people are going to show up. Then they'll start winning. Maybe they'll pack the house. They get to the playoffs, and should they make a run of the Dome, they're going to bring people to New Orleans. But the minute they fall off again, people stop going. People don't care anymore. And that's the worst part. And that's the worst part about sports fans in Louisiana. And I hate making that generalization, but you look at UL fans, you look at LSU fans especially. I think they're some of the worst at this. You look at Saints fans who aren't far behind LSU fans. They're there when the winning is good, but the moment that their team has what I like to call a Jim Mora meltdown, where they can't do diddly poo, those fans are long gone high and dry and cheering for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let
So,
me throw this at you real quick if you don't mind.
yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is the thing that I can't stand about high school sports. Let's say you have a school that is starting to win, okay? Especially the king of all sports, football.
Right.
Where in the heck did these kids come from?
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, somebody's starting some rumors and speculation that they've got illegal kids playing for them. And then the jealous ones go right there and they call the LHSAA and say that they got some illegal players playing.
Right.
And that's a damn shame.
It is. And the sad part is, and over the history now, I can't judge Eddie Bonine because he's not been there long enough. But under Kenny Henderson, especially under Tommy Henry before that, the LHSAA was very selective in who they decided to look at and in what cases they pursued. And that's the thing. And I'm happy the LHSAA now allows the parish boundary to be the school zone. But with that said, you're right. And in some cases, and there are a lot of schools that have talented kids come through, either because they played for a feeder system or they played Pop Warner and they had good training, they had good coaches. Maybe they were just born that way and came out big. But the fact of the matter is, just because a public school team gets good quick after being mediocre or worse for a long time doesn't mean they're cheating. And it's the same thing with a private school. Just because a private school is a power for so long doesn't mean they're recruiting. It doesn't mean they're cheating. But the fact of the matter is, if the LHSAA is going to investigate one, they've got to investigate all. And I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts, 97 to 98% of the cases the LHSAA gets, they dismiss. Because there's nothing there.
Our new executive director, Eddie Bonine. Okay, have you met him yet?
Briefly at the basketball state championships in February, or March, excuse me.
I have a lot of respect for the man because he's by the book.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I appreciate about him. And going back to the officials thing, he said from the get-go that he would make something happen. And officials had heard that forever from Tommy Henry, from Kenny Henderson. Bonine's the first one to come through and to make something happen. He earned my respect with that. I like this guy.
Well, did you hear about what he did? What happened during spring football during spring training?
No. What happened?
Okay. Supposedly, some schools in New Orleans was doing what they call those OTAs.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you cannot do that.
Right, because the first date for football practice is what, mid-July, early August?
Right. Well, you can condition and what have you, but these guys were having full-fledged practices.
Oh, Lord.
You can't slap pads on. You can't. If it's outside of the legal time, you cannot put protective gear on.
Right, and even then, correct me.
A lot of these private schools were doing it, and somebody ratted on them. Next thing you know, Eddie Bonine goes and he sends an email to every school saying, "If you're doing it, you better fess up."
Wow.
Okay. And in addition, the schools have, if you want officials, you got to sign a contract with the Officials Association.
Right.
Okay. Well, they had a lot of schools that signed contracts during this officials issue. And that was illegal. And
right. They couldn't do that because
email popped out.
Right, but that was one of the first things Bonine did, is saying that until this was settled, the schools could not sign with the officials associations.
That's correct. But have next week our clinic,
Yep.
our summer clinic, and there's going to be some sparks flying when we have those forums. I can promise you that.
Keep me abreast with what happens there, because I'm interested to see what he says or if he takes any action against some of these schools that violated those rules. Now, and you know as well as I do, it's not a well-kept secret that there's some schools across the state, including some here, that take part in illegal practices, for lack of a better phrase, or summer practices that aren't by the book. But you know what?
Right, you can wear a helmet.
You can wear a helmet, but you can't wear pads.
You can't wear shoulder pads or any other kind of protective gear.
Right. It's about time that somebody steps up, and especially with the heat and humidity we have down here, you got to protect these kids. You got to make sure that they're going to be healthy and they're not going to drop. That they're not going to drop because of the heat. It's a real concern.
Right. Well, they got these little camps for the so-called select football programs.
Yep.
Select football. Okay. Well, a lot of high school kids actually participate in this. Okay. And I don't know of any in Louisiana, but I heard they had quite a few in Texas and in Florida that they cover it saying that this is select football and it's actually high school kids.
I believe that.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And the other thing, it's all about money, buddy.
Oh, and that's the name of the game. You look at travel ball, whether it's volleyball, whether it's baseball, softball. You look at any sport where there's a travel league going on. It's about the money. At the end of the day, it's about the money. Yeah, will these kids get better? Sure, but at the same time, you're burning these kids out. They're gonna lose their appreciation and their love of the game, and they're gonna say, "To hell on this, I quit." You see that a lot of times, especially you see this with a lot of kids. By the time they get to high school season, they're burnt.
Well, I know a lot of parents whose kids play travel ball, especially in baseball, and they got to go to this tournament, they got to go to that tournament. The parents have to travel this and have to travel that, and it costs a lot.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with these little programs, but you're right at the same time. These kids are freaking drained.
Right. Where do you set the limit? Are you gonna burn your kid out? Are you going to sacrifice their love of the sport and their best and their wishes for living vicariously through them and living out some baseball fantasy through them? And that's the balance that parents have to make. And sometimes, and I'm not saying all parents, because there are a lot of parents that do a good job of balancing those acts, of balancing the child's priorities with what the child needs with what the child wants. But then there are others who push their kids to a level that they really shouldn't.
Exactly.
But
hey man, look, you probably got some other calls, but I gotta ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
Where do you shoot your show?
we're in the AOC studios. I'm actually pointing my camera into the director's booth.
Oh, you're in the director's booth, okay.
Yeah.
I like that background, man, that's cool.
Thank you. Yeah, we started doing this when we were on Saturday nights because I was in the building by myself. This way I could have a camera pointed, I could hit all the controls and do everything I needed to do without having to get up. I remember back in the day you would get up to go punch a button or even go use the restroom during your show. But this way I could just be here, be in one place and punch and watching the backdrop one night. Granted, it's a little dark in here this evening because our lights are, it's AOC. It's a little bit dark in here this evening, but I love this setup. It's a cool backdrop. It's convenient for me. It works out perfectly. And it was one of those happy accidents. It's like, you know what? Let's try it. It worked, and ever since then I've been doing it in here. Save for last week because we had multiple people. We did it in the main studio, but this evening is just a camera pointed in the director's booth, and this is for the last year or so. This has been our main set for the show.
Well, I like your creativity, man, and I'm glad that you got the spot now on Tuesday nights. And whenever I get the opportunity, I'll be more than happy to watch it, man. I appreciate you. Okay.
That sounds good. Hey, Jack, just as a heads up, and while I got you on the line, and while I'm thinking about it, the first Tuesday of August, we're going to do our football preview show. That night, if you got a chance, call in. I want to hear what you got going on in Jeanerette this year.
Absolutely, man. I'll be more than happy to.
Sounds good, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good luck, man.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Always good to hear from Happy Jack. He was one of the first people I met when I started here at AOC some 17 years ago. Just absolutely wonderful. Good evening, Bandit.
I was Happy Jack.
Say what?
I was Happy Jack.
Yeah, that was Happy Jack.
You on a disabled list, man?
I'm on the... No, they didn't put me on the disabled list. They just had me benched. Doctor said I'm day to day, but then again, aren't we all?
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
I'm definitely day to day.
so what's going on?
Nothing much. I walked in and I turned the TV on and I heard y'all talking about officials. I said, why did I have a feeling they'd be talking about that?
Yeah, we jumped on it. And so Happy Jack called in with... I started and then Happy Jack fell in, and then that turned into a 20-minute discussion on high school sports in general. So, which was very good. But Happy Jack, of course, is, as I mentioned, has been with AOC either as a producer / host or a caller forever. So he definitely knows what buttons to push, and he made it a good call.
He's been a high school coach too.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was an athletic director until he told me. I'm happy for him. I had no idea he was an AD.
He's an AD where?
He's been the AD at Generette for 4 years, he said.
Oh, okay. I think the last time I saw him was over at Iberia High.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. Hell, I think I was in college when he was there.
Yeah, well, okay, well that's good for him. Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Happy for him. I had Gautreaux on the show on Sunday, and I know he had sent me a clip of Bonine on an interview for the ESPN station in Baton Rouge. And when he started the interview, I said it was all. He said this plenty times. I don't care about the damn principals. I don't care about the officials. I care about the kids.
Yeah.
So I said, well, that's good. I like that.
And what Happy Jack mentioned earlier with
officials, and he was saying that they some of the highest paid in the country. Right? And I said, hold on. I told Daniel that. He said, man, I don't know if God is information. He said, we hope to open it up a bit. I think I'm glad to go out my football. But I think it's going to do a good job myself.
Well, Bonine, except for our little snafu over the state championships back in March, Bonine's done a good job. And I'll say this. He's been around now for about 6 months. He's already lived up to his word more so than Kenny Henderson ever did.
Right, and that wasn't his fault.
No, Bonine walked into a situation that he never could have expected.
But I'm just glad that I really, yeah, Dave would have said, oh, it's all about the money, but I think when it came down to it this time, because we're talking about a $5 raise.
Yeah.
To me, that's not about the money. To me, I think it was what really got him is when the principals clapped.
That was the biggest thing. It was that, and as I mentioned on the phone with Jack, the fact that they pulled out the rainout fee for for softball and baseball. When they pulled that away, that was a slap in the face. The applauding didn't help either. The rainout fee. Officials, when they go to a baseball or softball game, if they go and the game is rained out before the game begins, or they find that the field is unfit, the officials would get half of their pay plus mileage.
Okay.
The Principals Association voted to remove the rainout fee. So if you showed up to a field, game got rained out, you were SOL. You didn't get paid.
And I also think a lot of it had to do with, I might be wrong, I don't think it was the principals around here too much that voted all this down. I really think it's schools, the smaller schools that don't participate in as many sports, like those that don't have football and girls softball and stuff like that.
Or even then, as Happy Jack mentioned, schools that are already cash strapped, that really don't have the means to pay. And I understand that. And when we think about that, it's a shame to even think that a school has to worry about where their next dollar is coming in for the athletic budget. You would think that would be covered. You would think that the school board or that the funds from the school board or that the school already has would be able to take care of athletics. But the fact of the matter is, as Happy Jack astutely pointed out, is that you have a lot of teams that are relying on concessions, relying on gates, and in some cases, some schools are even going to fundraisers now to pay for uniforms or in the case of one local school who shall go unnamed, held a fundraiser to pay for lights at their softball field.
Well, I'm gonna go. I'll go with another school that's unmentioned. I'll just say that now they're rolling, okay, and they're making money. But when they first started their program, they said that one time when basketball officials showed up, they didn't have enough at the gate. They had to go talk to some of the parents to kind of chip in.
Wow.
Pay for the officials, you see. So I had a caller and called my show center, and he said, "Oh, they deserve a 3% raise per year, rounded up to the nearest 50 cents." I was like, first of all,
that's overkill.
50 cents because they'd be in line forever.
Right.
And you can't just keep, that's just not going to work based on the story I just said.
No, exactly, and that's the thing.
The officials do it for the love of the game. I just think they felt disrespect.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, even officials understand that some of these schools are strapped. It's not like we're asking to become the number one paid officials in the nation, which is far from the case. I don't know what Pennsylvania and Michigan are making. They're 1 and 2. But if you look at their school systems, they're generating more tax dollars, and their schools don't have to worry about where the athletic fund is coming from. But the fact of the matter is, it was a matter of respect. It was a matter of getting that respect. And I think Eddie Bonine did a good job of mediating and making sure that everybody got to the same page. When they met at the table, they knew they were able to agree on something to get the season going. And you know what? Again, I think Eddie Bonine, with this and how he's handled the situation, is already proving that he will be an outstanding leader for the Louisiana High School Athletic Association. I've got to give the man all the credit in the world for making this happen. And you know what? It's because, as you said, and as Jack pointed out earlier, he cares for the kids.
So you're going to have a little high school football preview show in August?
Yeah, first Tuesday of August is what I'm planning.
I'll make sure to listen.
Yeah, if you want to come on in, Como's going to be in here. Dylan Brochet from the Jennings Daily News is supposed to be in here as well. If you want to stop on by, feel free. If not, call in.
Oh, all right, I'll pass. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I actually got to call Brandon tomorrow to help me out. I'm supposed to be going to watch Craig Biggio get inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So
good for you.
I might need him to fill in for my
Big Time Sports. Awesome. That sounds good. Well, let me run. I got another call on the line, but Bandit, I'll talk to you. If not soon, I'll talk to you next Tuesday night.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. I know Artemio is holding on the line. Once it cycles through again, we'll go ahead and get to him. 366-8951. There he is. What's up, Artemio?
Hey, what's up?
Not much. We've been talking high school sports and athletics. I was hoping you'd be here. We've got about 8 minutes left in the show. I've got to ask you, what do you think about your boy Donald Trump?
The what?
What do you think about your boy Donald Trump?
Do I have to comment on that? Or would my position be pretty obvious in that?
Well, considering you're the one Mexican I know, I figured I could get away asking that question. Oh man, so how's Axel doing?
He's good. He's in New Orleans right now.
In New Orleans, baby's first trip to New Orleans?
Yeah.
What's he doing out there?
I don't know.
Now, I know doggone well, I know if he's with his mama, he's not on Bourbon Street right now. So the good news is he's not getting corrupted yet.
Yeah, I hope not.
So you are you at home right now? You watching the All-Star game at all?
No, I was actually, whenever stuff like this happens to me, like, people leave me alone with a house by myself, it's kind of bad.
Yeah, I know that. That's, after all, considering, no, let me not go there.
Well, let me tell you what happened. I went to the store, and then I came back. And whenever I was coming back, I was checking my keys to see if I had another, to unlock the front door. It turns out that I don't have a key for the house. So I'm like, put
Fred Flintstone, just knocking on the door and nobody answering.
So how'd you get back in the house?
So I went to my mom's house because I gave her, a couple pairs of keys so they can have so they can, if something happens.
In situations like this.
They can. So I went there, and since they had 2 sets of keys for this house, I took one. I was like, that'll be fine. I took it, and then somehow, some way, on the way, this is like 5 miles from my mom's house
to your place, right?
Here, I lost the key.
How'd you lose the key?
I don't know.
So you had to go back and get the other key.
No, so I was kind of mad. So I was like, I don't care. And I told my mom, let my little brother bring my other set of keys that has the second extra pair that I had over there.
$10 says it's in your Jeep somewhere.
So I walked to the gas station.
To the Quickie Mart, right?
What is it, like a block from here?
If that, yeah.
And got a 6-pack and started drinking that while I was waiting for my ride.
That sounds like something you would do.
I mean, you can't leave me alone with a house by myself. That's what I'm saying.
Better question is, how long are Axel and your better half in New Orleans?
Just a day and a half. Thankfully, so.
Z just texted. He said you need to lay off the tequila.
Yeah, but sure.
Oh Lord! So that explains why you've been a frantic mess. That is the perfect Artemio story. That may be the best. That is the best story that you've come up with since you locked yourself out of my dorm room 5 years ago.
I didn't come up with that one either.
Oh wait, that was Tyler's fault.
No. And that one wasn't my fault.
That was Tyler's fault.
That was Tyler's fault. So.
Yeah. So you're back in the house. That's the good news. I'm still amazed that you were able to lose a key in that short span of time. Now, the other question I have is: do you not have a key to your home, or did you just lock it in the house?
No, I did, but see what had happened was I took the key to the house with my different set and put it on a different set of keys for Shelby's car. And then I was test driving the Jeep today. I had some other stuff going on too. So then I didn't realize it until I got home.
Yeah.
So I was just looking at the stars, feeling like Fred Flintstone and getting bit by big mosquitoes.
Oh, jeez. Well, in that case, lunch is on me tomorrow.
Yeah, I told you can't leave me by myself.
Yeah, well, now we know. Now we know that for certain. Well, sir, I've got 1 minute left in the show. Let me run. I will give you a call back tomorrow morning.
Okay.
All right, brother. Have a good night. Don't lock yourself out again.
I try not to.
All right. Good night. Bye-bye. Z wants to know what happened to the hand. Sprained the wrist during a softball game by calling someone out. I know it sounds absurd, but apparently with this motion, I somehow twisted or sprained my wrist on... I know what Mojo would say happened to my hand. I'm not even going to say it on the air. We've got about a minute left in the show. I want to remind you that our show is underwritten with some messed up graphic work in that by Fit Life. Coach Brian Broussard, Kali Saloon Road near Rule Louis the 14th in the 5H Plaza, now a proud underwriter of 124 E Main. We want to thank everybody who called in tonight, everybody who watched and checked in. We appreciate it. God willing, if the checks don't bounce, we will see you back here. Let's see. When are we going to see you back? We'll be back here next Tuesday night. That's when we'll be back here. We'll see you then. God willing, the checks don't bounce, that is. Until then, I'm your nose and reminding you, don't take life too seriously. You're not getting out alive anyway. Good night, everybody. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, I was calling to find out where you got your owl.
Oh, that was my great-grandmother's owl. She passed away 7 years ago, and it remains a standing tribute to her on the show.
Well, I think it's beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for calling, sir.